What's up? My name is Jasper. I record under the name Skeleton and as a band under the name Nonsense. And today I wanted to talk about some of the VSTs or plugins that I use. I am a hardware user primarily. I don't really use software or MIDI very often. So I don't know. I might have an interesting perspective on it. Maybe I don't. Who knows? But what I know is that these plugins are from an awesome company called Goodhertz, and they have a very nice, smooth workflow. I love the look of them. And I'm excited to talk about it, which is why I'm making this. I'm also not sponsored by them or anything. I'm seriously just making this because I wanted to talk about it, and I hope you find it interesting. And last thing, this won't be super technical, but you might not understand all of it if you are a non-musician, but that's okay. Even if you don't understand it, it's gonna hopefully sound nice to you regardless. So yeah, enjoy. First up is one of their plugins that I'm most familiar with. It is Lossy, and it sounds like this. If you find yourself nostalgic for the early 2000s, the poor quality of YouTube videos, low bit rates, shitty MP3 players, then Lossy is just for you. It emulates digital artifacts and just a sort of digital slush and mush from almost anything you could imagine. And it's great for adding a little bit of texture to your input. Lossy has various loss modes, including standard, which you're listening to right now, as well as ones that will chop up, repeat your audio, settings that range from complete audio degradation and dropouts to nice sonic additions. All of the input sounds that you're hearing for this section are made with Korg Minilog XD. Speed, amount, and gain are all settings that can be changed independently of each other, which then have specific functions according to which loss mode you have selected. With the inverse setting, if you have your amount anywhere close to 100, the signal almost dissipates entirely into this sort of digital static snow. It's very interesting. It's got a great sonic character that you can't quite achieve with tape emulation or even bit crushers. On higher settings with loss modes such as packet repeat, you can achieve basically another instrument rather than an effect. It totally warps your signal to be something strange and alien, which is awesome. Now, this is cool and all, but I'm sure a few of you are wondering how practical this is for actual music making, and I wanted to give you an example of a track that I'm working on that features lossy in a large way. The whole master mix has lossy applied to it as it slowly devolves into digital chaos. Compressors are probably the most essential effect in all of music making. They're mostly used for dynamics, meaning that your signal, if it's really quiet, will be kind of squashed to make the overall level of your track be more consistent. But even more simply, you're reducing the difference between the loudest and quietest part of your track. This is Wolf Compressor, probably Goodhertz's most famous plugin in collaboration with the amazing band Wolfpack. Compressors usually range from something more flat and simple, focusing on just dynamics such as Ableton's stock compressors, whereas something like Wolf Compressor is very much warm, wide, and vintage. It's based upon the compression algorithm from the Boss SP303, which went pretty unnoticed and kind of faded into obscurity before becoming the blueprint for this fantastic plugin. Wolf Compressor is super easy to dive into and get a great sound immediately, but it's also got tons of depth. It features a unique phase option, which you're able to change the mix level of, as well as just these general wow and lo-fi sliders. With its transparency and other built-in effects, it's been my go-to compressor for pretty much any sound. And it's an absolute essential if you want to toughen up your percussion or drum sounds, which we'll get to later. DC19 is Goodhertz's newest plugin. I've been using it since the first available beta, and it's been an absolute blast. It's a 2-line delay meant to be played and performative. Each delay line can be synced or free of each other, which leads to a lot of happy rhythmic accidents. It's super customizable, and I can envision it being perfect in a live setting. Right now, you're watching one of DC19's most important features, the fact that you can set the 2 delay lines completely independently of each other with different subdivisions and general timing. You can see the milliseconds for the B delay decrease or increase without being connected to the A line. A majority of the settings can also be applied to only one of the lines if you so desire. And when I change the delay speed to halftime, there's no sudden change or anything like that. It's very smooth when changing settings, which I really appreciate. and when increasing the delay time, you get these amazing warbly pitch freakouts. On the second menu, you have various tape, lo-fi, wobble, and stereo options, as well as a pretty useful filter. DC-19 is another huge success from Goodhertz in my mind, but it's also a little bit difficult to describe without being hands-on yourself. So I'm just going to let this video play out and you can just give it a listen. Megaverb is billed as incredibly good, bad reverb. Harkening back to the digital sounds of the 80s, Megaverb can easily be used as a standard reverb or turn things into a noisy, cloudy mess in the best way possible. You can watch and listen as I turn this pretty simple bass sound into something Sun-O would really enjoy. Megaverb's distinct lo-fi settings ranging from analog and digital add a really great grit to your reverb to keep it from sounding too clean. But one of my favorite features of Megaverb is the gated reverb. You have an immense amount of control over the sensitivity of the gate, the attack, release, and the actual range of sound that it will detect. You can hear it right now creating this sort of noisy afterimage, which is also fantastic on drums. I mean, come on, that's just great. Megaverb's 4 distinct reverb modes are split into 4. You have quick and resonant for option A, non-linear for option B, smooth and cavernous for option C, and a larger cavern for option D. Being described as good, bad reverb is kind of an interesting way to market yourself, but I think this setting puts it on full display. Megaverb excels when it comes to these noisy washes of sound paired alongside pads. It's kind of like running a reverb through a fuzz pedal or just overdriving it until it becomes something entirely new. It's really fascinating and kind of reminds me of just standing in fog. It's pretty great. Well, we've gone over the majority of the plugins that I wanted to talk about today. I had a section on mid-side and tilt shift, and there just wasn't quite enough time to get to it. But nonetheless, I hope you'll enjoy this little outro drum jam demonstrating the plugins that we talked about today. Wolf Compressor is doing what it does best. It's squashing the entirety of the sample and adding a little bit of phase for some width as well. Megaverb, we are putting a pretty tight gate onto it. Like last time, it's giving us a cool, noisy after image of the sound. I'm messing with the sensitivity, which is basically how reactive the gate is. Now we're on to DC 19. Since it's on the highest delay speed, it's almost acting as a slapback. And finally, lossy as the finishing touch, as it often is for me. And just scrolling through the different loss modes. Packet loss just sounds so good for some extra texture. I think it's always a great sign that you can stack these 4 very intensive and comprehensive plugins on top of each other without it sounding like complete chaos. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have for you guys. I love these plugins so much, and they're an essential part of my workflow, and I'm glad I got to talk about them. Okay, well, that's all I got this time. Just wanted to show off some things that I like. That's pretty much it. Hopefully that was interesting. This is the first time I've made anything like this, so if you enjoyed, then please let me know. Alright, thanks for watching.